Welcome to the Planning Commission meeting of March 23rd, 2023. My name is Vern Crow, and I am the chairperson of the commission. The Planning Commission is a citizen body appointed by the City Council. The commission is empowered to make final decisions on certain matters, with those being appealable to the City Council. On other matters, the commission acts in an advisory role to the council, with the council making the final decision. You will have an opportunity to address the commission during the public hearing portion of the meeting. Your testimony is appreciated and encouraged. The commission acts from a written agenda. You will need to fill out a yellow speaker card and give it to the city staff if you wish to speak on an item. Copies of the agenda and the speaker cards are located on the table just inside the main door at the rear of the council chambers. At this time, please silence your cell phones. There are 7 members appointed to the Planning Commission. At this time, I will ask the commissioners to introduce themselves and state the district they are representing, starting from my far right.
John Crow, Merrill District.
Commissioner Cole.
Tom Cole, Barrel District.
Vice Chair Nyberg.
Edwin Nyberg, the Choya District.
Commissioner Nowakowski.
Martin Novakowski, Yucca District.
Commissioner Gears.
John Gears for the Ocotillo District.
Commissioner Hooper. And again, I'm Vern Crow, the chairperson representing Cactus. All the members of the Planning Commission are present. The Planning Commission receives staff assistance and guidance from the Planning Division and the City Attorney's Office. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak on an item that is not on tonight's agenda? Okay, hearing none, we'll go on to the approval of the minutes. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes of November 17th, 2022 Planning Commission special meeting and the December 8th, 2022 Planning Commission regular meeting?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of November 17th, 2022 Planning Commission special meeting and the December 8th, 2022 Planning Commission regular meeting as written. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Ms. Perry, she is the staff liaison. Are there any withdrawals or continuances this evening?
Chairperson Crow and Commissioners, there are none.
Okay, as there are none, let's move on. The purpose of the public hearing is to provide interested parties an opportunity to present testimony for the commissioner's consideration. We will follow the same procedure for each individual item. I will call the application number and the name of the applicant. Staff will present their report and answer questions from the commission. The applicant will be given the opportunity to make a presentation and answer questions from the commission. Other persons who wish to testify will be asked to do so and answer questions from the commission. The applicant will have an opportunity for closing comments. Staff will be asked for a final comment on the application and procedural guidance. I will then close the public hearing and ask for a motion prior to any further discussion from the commission. If you wish to speak on an item, you will need to state your name and address for the record when you approach the podium. Please be brief and to the point and avoid repetition. I reserve the right to limit the length of your testimony, and tonight the length of the testimony will be 3 minutes. All exhibits shown to the commission become part of the permanent record and must be submitted for the file. Large groups, which obviously we have tonight, should designate a spokesperson. Applause and other disruptions which delay the hearing will not be tolerated. And the folks that are here to speak, if we're here for the 75th Avenue project, we have labored over this and we are really informed. So if a lot of you are going to get up and just say the same thing, we're with you. We get it. So try to be brief and just bring us something new that hasn't been said 2 or 3 times in front of you. Thank you. We have 3 public hearings this evening. Our first agenda item is case GPA 22-06, and along with that, a zoning item 22-16. Mr. Lerma will present the case.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. Before you, you have two requests by the applicant, Scott Hintz, on behalf of Diversified Partners. First request is for a minor general plan amendment to change the general plan land use designation from office to general commercial, and the second one is to change the zoning classification of the property from commercial office to neighborhood commercial. Here's a map just showing where we're located at City Hall in reference to the subject site. The subject property is located 0.23 miles on the southwest direction of City Hall. It is located on the southwest corner of 75th Avenue and Bethany Home Road. It is approximately 3.7 acres in size, and it is located in the Yucca Council District. Here you'll see the general plan map and the zoning map, general plan map to the left and the zoning map to the right. Again, the property's general plan designation is office. The request is to change that designation to general commercial. As you can see, the property to the east is also zoned or has a land use designation of general commercial. That would support the request. If you look at the zoning map, property highlighted as a subject property. It is currently has a zoning classification of commercial, of commercial office. The request is to change that classification to a neighborhood commercial. Again, if you can see the property adjacent on Bethany Home Road to the east, it is also zoned neighborhood commercial and would support this request. Here's an aerial map showing of the existing conditions of the site. Property is currently vacant. There is a SRP open irrigation that is on the east property line that goes in the north-south direction, and then it turns towards the north property line going to what is labeled as the Coyote Ridge Elementary School. The uses surrounding the property are both already developed and are in the process of being developed. To the north, you'll see a single-family residence directly north and a proposed single-family residential subdivision on the northeast corner of Bethany Home Road and 75th Avenue. Again, where we discuss this site, the CVS that's adjacent to the subject property is a commercial property, C1. Tamachow Farms to the south, which is an agriculture use. And then you have what is labeled as Coyote Ridge Elementary School. I wanted to take a minute here and give you a little bit more information. Even though it's labeled as Coyote Ridge Elementary School, they use to the west. It is no longer an elementary school. It ceased to be an elementary school late last year. In Glendale Elementary School District actually closed 4 elementary schools, this one being one of them. They're repurposing the building or the campus for a community resource center. And I'll follow along with this comment later on through the presentation. But again, the property has historically remained vacant and unimproved. During the fall season, it is used as overflow parking for the Tamachow Farms for the pumpkin patch. So the applicant, again, is requesting to rezone the property With the recent connection of Cardinals Way and Bethany Home Road, he sees the traffic increase will occur within this major intersection the road connection of Cardinals Way and Bethany Home Road. The main purpose of that is to alleviate traffic from Westgate and from the Cardinals Stadium. A lot more traffic will be going in the eastbound direction this way, and he's trying to take advantage of that. And the main purpose of that is to provide services to those travelers provide goods and services to those travelers going in an eastbound direction. So again, the applicant is requesting to change the entitlements to his property from those that are currently in place that are financial, professional, and office services to those that are more lean towards convenience goods and services. As you see here, here's what we call a conceptual site plan that is indicating the site with the perimeter improvements to the site. The applicant is proposing to have 1 point of access along Bethany Home Road and 2 points of access on 75th Avenue. One of the things to also keep in mind here, the conceptual site plan is also showing perimeter landscaping and perimeter walls that'll serve as buffering and mitigation for the surrounding properties. Along the west and south property line, the applicant will be required to provide a 15-foot landscaping buffer and an 8-foot perimeter wall. Along the east property line and the north property line, the applicant will be required to provide sidewalks, a 25-foot landscaping buffer, and a 4-foot perimeter wall. The applicant has concluded their citizens outreach process. The final report is included within your packet. The applicant completed a neighborhood meeting that was completed on October 18th, 2021. There was one property owner that attended said meeting. That property owner was for the project. Based on the inactivity to the project, to that point, the staff recommended that the applicant provide or send out a follow-up notification letter to the surrounding property owners within the 300-foot radius. That letter was sent out on May 3rd, 2022. Based on that letter, the applicant received 4 responses back, and staff received 1 communication in the form of a letter that's also included within the final report. 2 of them were for the project, 2 of them were against the project, including the letter as well. The issues that arise were mostly related to safety issues and increase in traffic. Since the packets went out to the commissioners, staff has continued to receive communication from property owners or residents of Glendale. Staff provided a memo, including those emails, up to 30 emails staff received, all in opposition of the proposal. And just to summarize some of the issues that were raised by the property owners that are in opposition that send these emails out. Number 1 was, again, a traffic increase in this area that in the past really hasn't received a lot of traffic. I mean, based on the fact that there was no connection with the 101, the traffic was substantially low. And with this development, they perceived for there to be a traffic increase. Number 2 is with all type of development, there is a risk of transients being attracted to these areas and also crime being attracted to the area. One of the other ones had to do with the safety of the students going to the elementary school, the Coyote Ridge Elementary School. But again, circling back to the initial comment, this is no longer a school, and no students will be going to that facility. So I wanted to address some of these items that were brought up. Again, with any type of development, it's perceived that traffic is going to increase in some way or another, if that be commercial or office use or multifamily or even single family. Traffic is going to spike up somewhat. What staff does in these type of instances with any type of new development, the applicant is required to provide a traffic analysis, and that traffic analysis is included within the staff report. What the traffic analysis does is it takes into account the type of uses that are being proposed and makes recommendations based on those potential uses, and gives recommendations in order to provide more of a safety flow of traffic both into the site and exiting the site. Maybe that another lane, a decel lane, may be that pork shops, in order to deviate traffic to only go in a right in, right out direction. Those type of items are what is being addressed. And for transients and crime, the only thing that the staff can say about that is there's really no way to prevent that. The only real way to do that is by site design, and by lighting, site design, building, layout, and then I'll speak more about those type of items later on through the findings. So staff has reviewed this project and has concluded with an analysis. Staff believes that the development is a great opportunity for infill development, keeping in mind that the surrounding properties are already developed and are already in use, not taking into account the subdivision that's currently in the process of being developed on the northeast corner of this intersection. With infill development, there's also great opportunities for developers to connect to infrastructure that's already in place. Infrastructure meaning Bethany Home Road and 75th Avenue. Both roadways are already paved, where vehicles can both access the site and exit the site from either major arterial road, and also utilities. Utilities are available both on Bethany Home Road and 75th Avenue. And again, going back to site design, the applicant will be implementing strategies that would both preserve the surrounding existing sites and also mitigate the impact of the potential uses on the site. How will this be done? By providing perimeter buffering, effective interior circulation, and suitable pedestrian connectivity to adjacent sites. And those are things that this is something that for any type of the development, right? Whenever there's a vacant site and it gets developed, you get the right-of-way improvements per se. Going back to the utilities, there's utilities available already both on Bethany Home Road and 75th Avenue. The applicant has the option of connecting to water lines that are available both on 75th and Bethany Home Road that will serve for domestic water, landscape services, and fire protection, and a sewer line that's available on 75th Avenue that'll provide domestic sewer water to the site. As previously indicated on the conceptual site plan, the applicant will be providing perimeter buffering. That will be done with an 8-foot wall and landscaping buffering. The applicant will also do the best he can to locate the buildings adjacent or as far away as they can to the existing uses to the east and to the south, and make them closer to the public roadway. Again, going back to the crime and the transient attracting any developed site. Again, that can only be addressed, I believe, through site design, and the applicant is aware of this, and he will be implementing different design strategies in order to provide the safety and the public health, the safety and the general welfare of both patrons and employees that are using the site. And again, how is this going to be done? Well, this is done by well-lit areas, avoiding areas that are hidden. And that's basically where most of the crime gets done, is where hidden areas that are dark areas that can't be seen from the public road. So the applicant is going to be making sure that the arrangement of the buildings are done in a way that there's no hidden areas, that all open areas can be seen from public view, that are well lit, and there is no dark hidden corners anywhere. And again, by implementing signage and interior circulation to control and effective methods for the safety of the people that are internally using the site. The zoning request, again, is consistent with the general plan, as indicated before. The CVS to the east is already being used and is zoned for general commercial or neighborhood commercial use. This would be an extension of that use across the street. Transportation Department has reviewed the traffic impact analysis, and it agrees with the recommendations that are being the recommendations that are being requested. And those recommendations that are being requested have been implemented as stipulations for the recommendation. All applicable departments have reviewed the application and have recommended approval. With that, staff recommends that the Planning Commission forward a recommendation of approval for GPA 22-06 as written, and staff recommends that the Planning Commission should forward a recommendation of approval of ZON 22-16, subject to the following stipulations. Stipulation number 1, development shall be in substantial conformance with a narrative and site plan date stamped January 6, 2023. Stipulation number 2, the developer will be required to provide a 55 half-street right-of-way measured from center line along 75th Avenue with half-street improvements to be in line with arterial section A1 of Glendale standards. And stipulation number 3, the developer will work with SRP on the tiling, piping of the irrigation ditch and associated USA easement along 75th Avenue. Mr. Chair, members of the commission, this concludes my presentation.
Commissioners, are there any questions for Mr. Lerma? Commissioner Cole?
Thank you, Mr. Lerma. Very informative as usual. Just reading the citizens' participation final report, it indicates that there was contact through the citizen participation process from the councilwoman for the district, I'm assuming the Yucca district, regarding the car wash as a proposed use. And it says in the report, per the councilwoman's comment, we will not be pursuing a car wash on the site. Is that codified anywhere in this action, either one of these actions? The fact that the owner/developer won't pursue a car wash?
That was a conversation that was between the developer and the councilwoman. Keep in mind that when the commission forwards a recommendation of approval, it does so that all uses that are allowed within the C1 zone district would be open for the site.
So short, help me understand, just short of a general plan amendment, minor general plan amendment and a zoning change, would there be an opportunity perhaps for a PAD to narrow down what is permissible as far as retail use or commercial use?
So let me go back a little bit on the original question. So adding to my comment right now, keep in mind that when there's a zoning action and it opens it up to new entitlements for property, there's those uses that are allowed by right, and then those uses that are allowed with a conditional use permit, one of them being a car wash, which is considered a convenient use. Anything that's related to drive-through services and car washes would need to come back through the planning commission for additional entitlements, right? So if the developer, let's say the city council approves the zoning action and then they want to come back and develop a drive-through or a car wash, that would need to come back to the planning commission, and the commission would have another decision to make based upon those additional entitlements.
Thank you for the clarification.
Commissioner Nowakowski?
Just to clarify, the traffic study that's in the packet, would that be part of the, number one of the contingencies? Development shall be in substantial conformance with the narrative and site plan, so dated January 6th. Is the traffic study, it's dated January 5th, I believe. Would that be part of the plan? The reason I'm asking is because in it, there's recommendations being provided by the traffic study.
Yes, so through the chair, Commissioner Nowakowski. Thank you. Stipulation number one is specifically to the project narrative that was provided by the applicant, which discusses their intent for the site, that they want to rezone it, that they want to change the general plan designation. All those details that are associated with the traffic impact analysis, the only stipulation that addresses that is stipulation number 2 that has to do with additional right-of-way that the applicant needs to provide in order for the right-of-way improvements. But if you see on what is a conceptual site plan, but it's already addressing a lot of the recommendations that were made by the traffic impact analysis. Keep in mind the pork shops on the access point on Bethany Home Road, and on the most southern access point on 75th Avenue. Also keep in mind the decel lanes along Bethany Home Road and on the 2 access points on 75th Avenue. The traffic impact statement is going to be addressing those type of recommendations. It's going to be recommendations that are done along the right-of-way and not necessarily interior to the site. What is landscaping, buffering, site wall perimeter walls is all going to be based upon the zoning ordinance.
Okay, to clarify, the traffic impact analysis, is it part of the January 6th site plan date? It's separate, you're saying?
Yes, so
Okay,
again, stipulation number 1 is referencing not the traffic impact analysis, but is referencing the project narrative and the conceptual site plan that is before you right now that was submitted by the applicant.
Got it.
The traffic impact analysis is going to be more addressed through the design review portion of the process, is when transportation is going to come back, look at the site plan, and make sure that all those recommendations are being implemented. And again, to reiterate, stipulation number 2 is the one that is more reference towards one of the recommendations for the traffic impact analysis.
Right, while we have the conceptual site plan up, in the traffic study, it says a drive-through coffee use is anticipated, I guess in pad A, and due to the multiple drive-through uses depicted on the site plan, each drive-through should be reviewed as the individual uses are proposed. That's page 4 of the traffic study. So in that, can you tell me which ones are, when it says multiple drive-through uses, which, is it A, B, C, D, what is it?
So I believe, Mr. Chair, through the chair, Commissioner Nowakowski, I believe the applicant can address those. Within the staff report, I did indicate that no end users have been discussed with staff at this point. If there is prior to the comment I made previously, if there is intent for any convenient uses, which are drive-through and related, and those will have to come back through the Planning Commission and be reviewed through the Planning Commission. If there's one drive-through, or there's two, or there's three, how many there are, it's through the Planning Commission purview to see if three is enough or if two is enough. If it's a saturated use or so forth, then that's up to the Planning Commission.
I'll wait for the applicant to speak. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lerma. Would the applicant or applicant's representative please come forward, state your name for the record, and make your presentation?
Down. Good evening, Chairman Crow and Commissioners. Thank you for allowing me to present here this evening and for all of you being here this evening. I'm here on behalf of Diversified Partners and NRM Group to discuss the application with you for the rezoning and general plan amendment.
And what is your name, sir?
Rafat Abdul Jabber, but I'm referred to as AJ. It's a lot easier. My partner, Walt Brown, could not be here this evening, and he apologizes for that. His children are on spring break, so they're on vacation. The reason we're here today was discussed a lot thoroughly by Mr. Lerman, I thank him for that, is to rezone and request your approval for a minor general plan amendment to the southwest corner of 75th Avenue and Bethany Home Road. This parcel, as Alex indicated, is approximately 3.7 acres and was purchased by Diversified Partners and NRM Group last year. The uses currently on the site are non-existent. The property is vacant, has not been farmed in over 25 years, is zoned for a commercial office, but has never been used as a commercial office and was never built. This property, aside from being vacant, acts seasonally as a parking lot for the neighboring pumpkin patch. With the connectivity by the City of Glendale in partnership with the Arizona Cardinals of Cardinals Way to Bethany Home Road, this has created, there was an intent to alleviate stadium traffic and in addition to bring employment opportunities and tax revenues in areas that had been underutilized. The recent completion of the road has caused Bethany Home to become a vital major arterial connector to the west portion of the city of Glendale. The site is located on the eastern portion of the Yucca District, neighboring the Ocotillo District. With the road connection to Cardinals Way, easier access to entertainment districts, along with new residential communities to the west, makes the site highly suitable for an ideal location for commercial uses with the City of Glendale's goals in its connection of the two roads. For example, within a 2-mile radius of this location, there are over 1,000 homes that are being built or have been built as a result of the road connection. The site plan details a layout of an overall commercial center with 2 new ingress points that will be constructed on 75th Avenue and 1 ingress point that will be constructed on Bethany Home Road. The site has been modified to incorporate staff and neighborhood comments. Significant improvements are required and will be made along 75th Avenue. The entire half-street curb, gutters, sidewalk, landscaping will be constructed. In addition to the significant half-street improvements, Diversified Partners will underground and pipe the current open SRP irrigation channels that currently exist, making walking areas on this site much safer for its patrons and the residents of the city of Glendale. The site will be constructed in 2 phases. Phase 1 will be all of the on-site, off-site improvements, as well as the underground and piping of the SRP ditches, as well as pads A and B. Phase 2 will incorporate development of pads C and D. To make a quick comment on Commissioner Cole's car wash comment, as Mr. Lerma has suggested and stated, we would need a conditional use permit to have a car wash, but Mr. Brown's a man of his word. And when he says he's not going to put a car wash, he doesn't put it. We are not pursuing tenants, nor are we taking letters of intent from car wash uses. Development of this parcel will also increase tax revenues for the city and state as a whole. Currently, the annual property taxes on this parcel are $107. Based on the projections, Phase 1's annual tax revenue to the city, state, and federal government between the property taxes, rental tax, and sales tax of only pads A and B are approximately $300,000 cumulatively. Phase 1 of this project will also provide temporary construction jobs for approximately 18 months, as well as 30 permanent jobs for pads A and B. As Mr. Lerma has also stated and provided a memo for, in the last 48 hours, we've received several emails in regards to neighborhood concerns about this project, and I'd like to touch on them briefly. The first is regarding the homelessness and transients to the parking lot. And as Mr. Lerma has stated, we have taken staff designs into consideration. The site will be well lit, it will be well constructed, and we have that in mind. In regards to traffic, that's inevitable. Connecting the two roads will increase traffic. It is going to offload some of the traffic off of game days and from the 101 freeway, but it's marginal compared to if this were to be constructed as a commercial office versus a commercial center. It's marginal, the traffic uptick that neighbors will see. Finally, I'm not sure how there is somebody's pushing off Tummelchoff Farms. Bill and Grace are both here. I know Bill and Grace. They operate the farm. They own that land. We did not purchase the farm, nor do we intend to purchase the farm. We purchased 3.7 acres of a hard corner for a commercial development. We don't intend to buy the farm. We don't intend to construct on it. They could operate the farm for as long as they'd like to. It's a beautiful farm. I've been there with my wife and kids, and I enjoy visiting them. The City of Glendale has set out standards for when a rezoning and a general plan amendment are acceptable to a 4-part test and a 2-part test. I won't get into the details, but I've highlighted these sections of the portions that we qualify for. This project is in accordance with Resolution 5095 and Envision Glendale 2040. This project will enhance business opportunities, provide job creation and municipal revenue, as well as providing a safer intersection for the citizens of Glendale. And I cannot emphasize enough about the open SRP irrigation ditch and what that will do for folks walking on that intersection. Based on the information I provided you tonight, I respectfully request approval of the Planning Commission for our minor GPA and rezoning. The requested change will have a substantial positive impact on the citizens and the City of Glendale. I would like to thank staff for their support of our application and the City of Glendale staff members for all their hard work on this project. Finally, as you may have seen in the news last month, this project and Diversified Partners 2023 and 24 projects marks Mr. Brown's commitment and love for the City of Glendale. We are excited for this project and the continued growth of the City of Glendale. That concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Commissioners, anything for Mr. AJ? Commissioner Cooper?
So as somebody who receives an irrigation from an irrigated pipe from SRP, what's your timetable like? How are you going to make sure that those people who get water from that pipe are going to be able to get it? Because as an SRP customer, we're not in dry up. I'm assuming you don't plan on building next month if this is approved, but December to March is the dry up period.
So SRP is currently implementing and providing us with their design of how we would need to encase and underground their pipe. I don't have a timeline of when it will be constructed. I will say that we are very eager to get this project underway. And so after we do have SRP's design and the construction documents have been approved by the city, we will be going full speed to take that underground and make sure that water is flowing quickly and safely underneath the site.
Commissioner Nowakowski?
I don't know if we can pull up the conceptual site plan. Thank you. Can you tell me again where the deceleration lanes are going to be in the right in, right out?
Absolutely.
In the traffic analysis, it says exit A, B, and C. I don't, it's not labeled there.
If you look at the northmost portion of the site plan, that is the first decel lane and pork chop on Bethany Home Road. And then coming southbound, we have a second decel lane for what we can call entrance and exit B, and then a second pork chop and a third decel lane for exit and entrance C.
Okay, and at Pad A, am I correct, so the entrance off Bethany Home behind Pad A, so on the west side of Pad A, there seems to be just a few parking spaces there, and none on the, that would be the east or north, or, yeah, east and north side? Is that correct?
Parking will be provided. I think that the recommendation was 144 stalls, and that's what we provided. It may be 142. Pad A, we are looking at to be potentially a drive-through use. And so it will have a lot of vehicle queuing, parking on the south side of that pad and also on the west side. And also on that entire west side, we will be providing a 8-foot perimeter wall to enclose if the school were to reopen again.
Gotcha. And then in the traffic analysis, it said several drive-through food and drink establishments depicted on the site plan. Can you point that out to me?
Absolutely. We have not identified users that require a drive-through aside from Pad A, and so we don't know what tenants we're going to get for Pad C and D, B, C, and D. And so is a drive-through possible? Yes, it is possible that we will apply for the drive-through maybe in phase 2 if those users require a drive-through. Currently, we have not identified a drive-through user for Pad B, but we have for Pad A and do plan on applying for a conditional use permit for that pad.
Understood. Last question.
Yes.
Kind of piggybacking off Commissioner Cole's question, it seems like with the crowd here tonight that it would be beneficial to us all that a detailed permitted uses be provided the neighborhood and those with conditional uses. And kind of like, if you travel down Bethany and you go a little eastbound to 67th, it's a pretty scary area. And so the liquor stores, and there's a lot of crime, and there's been shootings. So just with that alone, the concern of the neighborhood, I understand, I live in the area. So I think that would be beneficial that if this goes on before it hits council, that there's a discussion with you all in the neighborhood on detailed permitted users. That's my recommendation.
We'd absolutely love to have the discussion. We've met with our neighbors. I've met with Bill and Grace on 4 separate occasions in the last year regarding this site. We're happy to hear it, and we will implement it, and we want what's best for the city.
Yeah, because if we can kind of say no liquor stores or vape stores, I read that in some of the complaints. So that would be helpful. Thank you.
And one final comment on that, Commissioner. We don't rent to liquor stores or vape stores, if I'm being honest with you. I mean, we don't have a potential tenant who is a liquor store or a vape store. I did not convey, nor did anyone convey, that we were looking at a liquor store or vape store. Who we have are great tenants. We have coffee users. We have a beauty salon. We have potential other restaurants looking at the site. None of ours would be lewd or vagrant uses.
Thank you. That's good to know.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you, AJ. Okay, I've received quite a few speaker cards here. As we mentioned before, we're going to do 3 minutes, and at about 2.5 minutes, I'll kind of give you a high sign or something, signal your 2.5 minutes, and you've got about a 30-second wrap-up period. And again, we have studied this quite extensively, and so we're very attuned to what's going on. So if you've got something that the previous speaker has not said, or a point that you'd like to make that hasn't been brought up, then please, let's hear it. But we're trying to avoid, for all of us, having to hear the same thing 55 times. So let's get this thing going. If you would like to speak, I do have a speaker card, and you come up and give us your name and address. Mike Zaremba? Did I get that right? Yes, you did. Awesome.
You need my address, or you have it?
For the record, please,
Okay,
sir.
it's 7679 West San Miguel Avenue.
Thank you.
Okay, one thing I appreciate your comment, because this is the thing that we're all trying to fight. And it's easy for people in your position and investors to come to our neighborhood and say, this is what you want, you know. Mr. Lerma, I understand his position, but I think some things need to be changed in regards to the process, because I contacted him after Bill called me and asked me if I'd received a notice. I said no. So I called Mr. Lerma, and he indicated that I'm not within that boundary, but I've lived behind a farm for 35 years, okay? And I live across the street from Coyote Ridge now with my mother-in-law. So I think I have a lot to, you know, be upset about, because I've lived there. I've contributed to Glendale. You guys have seen, you know, you've received my taxes for 35 years. I've come here, I purchased a home, I like living here. But as far as I'm concerned, his study is wrong. You can come and sit on my front porch and see the traffic. I mean, since Cardinal Way has opened, it's gotten worse. There's always accidents, there's fatalities. They've driven into my mother-in-law's property twice. My big concern is the traffic. And you know as well as I do, Glendale PD can't handle all the traffic accidents, and that's what's going to happen. As far as the homelessness, right behind my mother-in-law's house where I live, there's a buffer zone. There's 2 homeless people living there. They've been driven out, they come back. So I think what this is going to be, and I understand this is a business, and I understand that with progress comes unwanted change. I don't want the change. There's plenty other places that they can build this. And if they're going to build a Starbucks or a Dutch Brothers, you know what the lines are like. There's going to be constant traffic. Since I've lived there, there's been, I can't even count how many accidents have been at 75th and Bethany. And, you know, so that's a constant 365-day traffic freeway. And the Cardinal Stadium, as far as AJ said, that's not a big issue. They're far away from us. They're over at the entertainment district. So they're not really creating a lot of problems. It's 24 hours, 7 days a week that we have the traffic problems, because people don't obey it. There wouldn't be that many accidents down there if they had. So, I mean, my big concern, like I said, I've lived there, and I understand big business. Okay, the big business, their money is important, but you know, you donate $100 million to Glendale, but what about everybody out here that's donated their taxes, purchased a home? So, you know, like I said, it's easy for guys like you that don't live in the area except you, or Mr. Lerma, or AJ, to come in and tell us, this is what you should have. This is what we think you want, and it's not. So, I mean, what a politician wants nowadays is what a politician gets, and I just don't think it's right. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zaremba. Lisa Cooper.
My name is Lisa Cooper. I live at 7568 West Montebello Avenue. I know that this is already going to happen, but I just want to say my heart is saddened. I've lived in my home for 33 years, and I have loved listening to the children that come to visit for their little field trips and the pumpkin patch and the Christmas sales and the corn and all the things that they do. But inevitably, it's going to happen. And there's something going to happen to that corner. So no matter what I say or do, I'm just wanted to say I was sorry and thank you for allowing me to talk.
Thank you, Ms. Cooper. Tyler Hildebrand. Okay. Riley Hildebrand? Miranda Hildebrand? Dennis Hildebrand? Karen Edwards? Ed Reiner? Casey Shoemaker? Mr. Reiner, come on down.
Good evening. My name is Ed Reiner, and I used to own the southeast corner of 83rd and Bethany. That's Tomachoff now and stuff. We actually purchased that property from ADOT, and it was our understanding that when we bought it from ADOT, that nothing would be changing in that area.
What is your address, Mr. Reiner?
It's the southeast corner of 83rd and Bethany. I actually the mortgage holder. I hold the lien for Mr. Bill.
I gotcha.
So
Okay.
we went out there and we were actually in the process when we bought it from ADOT to try and change the zoning to get some type of small business going and stuff. And we were actually, we're in front of the council and they shot us down like right away. ADOT came back to us through, I'm not quite sure who it was, one of the, David Rodriguez, one of the county engineers said, we're going to put Bethany Home on your north property line. I said, why? Why do you need to put, Bethany was going to continue on, along with the canal. Then come to find out that when the outfall channel came in, they said, we're going to use your property line as Bethany. I says, it's not the right type of deal to put this traffic on my property line because we're actually farming. We're still doing a lot of organic farming and stuff. So it's just sad that day by day, month by month, year by year, all these little parcels are just being gobbled up by big business because big business has the money to throw around to sway your and a lot of people with influence, their vote. And I made a deal with Bill that I would help him as much as I could just to, try and keep things the way they are. There's more than enough traffic. Since we sold it to Bill, when the Bethany continued on through, the traffic's just been murder. There's been numerous, when I owned it, farming there was 3 accidents that actually Bethany, some drunk hit the bridge and wound up in our basic storage thing. It was terrible. The neighbors called me and stuff, and the guy's running down the road. We have his address and thing. I go there, and he doesn't live there anymore, so I had no recourse against him, but it just made a mess. And recently, another friend of mine that lives at, I think Montebello, I'm not quite sure, but he's telling me, he says the traffic is just really, really bad. And I'm just, concerned that with Bill being there, Bill's been there longer than I've had my property, but it's just going to be a mess. I didn't know for sure that the school did close, but it's just such a nice location because there's still more children that do need a school. Okay, and I'm just saddened. It's there's not much open land anymore, and that's just such an ideal location to have what Bill does for the community and the neighborhood and stuff, so thank you for listening.
Thank you, Mr. Reiner. Casey Schumacher, or Shoemaker. You what? Okay, how about Vince Schumacher? Amy Schumacher. Gabe Lawrence.
Yeah.
Come on down, Mr. Lawrence.
What do you need?
I'm just not sure if I can be heard. To get this, I don't know, can I be heard?
I can hear you.
So my biggest concern is the generational impact. Again, my name's Gabe Lawrence. I worked for Talmadge Farms for a handful of years.
What's your address, Gabe?
Address currently is 23331 North 90th Drive.
Thank you.
Worked for Talmadge Farms for a handful of years. Joined the Marine Corps, and after coming back, my biggest concern now is the generational impact that this lot is going to have. It's going to, in my opinion, decrease the amount of visitors to this farm, and people not having a place to park during the season. So less people are going to come. That means generations upon generations of kids and memories are going to be lost. And so at what point do we say enough with this big business, however you want to put it, and let the upcoming generations enjoy what this farm brings to the community? And so with that, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lawrence. Michael Tomachov? Already here.
Thank you. My name is Michael Tomachov. I live on the Tomachov Farms, residence 5726 North 75th Avenue. Just a quick little touch up on the traffic. I've seen at least 2 accidents, maybe a month in that area. I know the elementary, Coyote Ridge Elementary School is shut down, no longer a school, but not even like half a mile up the road, there's still Independence High School. And just seeing them every day, there's more kids, more than half the kids walk to school, and bringing more traffic along with those accidents is no good. Lighting up the areas, I mean, the homeless kind of just doesn't matter where they're in the dark, the light, they kind of just do what they want to do. So lighting up the area I don't think is going to be very effective. They're still going to come in. I'm just scared for my area. I've been able to look out on the property, make sure I'm protected. But with new building there, I don't know what to say from stopping people from jumping the wall or coming over to the property. What was I gonna say? 8-foot walls. That's just barely taller than my hand. I don't know if any of the cars driving by are gonna see the cars on the road, gonna see the businesses, what's in there. Now I know only the Lord knows what's gonna happen to the lot, but what was I gonna? I think that's all I have for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tomachov. Elizabeth Harris. Take your time, take your time.
Hi, my name is Elizabeth Harris. I lived at 7239 North 79th Lane in Glendale. I'm not going to say a lot. I'm just going to say that over the years, we have seen more and more crime and homelessness coming more to the north. I mean, to the north. I used to go to the Walgreens on 83rd and Glendale. Now it's lit up. It was a nice Walgreens, and now it's full with homeless. And it's, they leave the grounds filthy. And if you look on every corner where there's somebody with a sign, they leave it filthy. And it just keeps coming up this way. I drove down 59th Avenue one day, and I was like shocked at how much homelessness is coming this way. My question is what as you, as Glendale, will do for the homeless? Are we just going to keep leaving them grow, or are we going to help do something about it? Are we going to bring another shopping center in with a drive-through? You're talking about traffic. You put a Dutch Brothers there, you know that that's going to bring in traffic. You already got Independence over here with all the traffic going back and forth with the kids, picking up their kids, dropping them off, et cetera. And now you're going to put a Dutch Brothers there, or whatever coffee shop you're thinking of. Those are the things that bring in traffic, and you've got kids walking. That's my thought. My concern is not only the traffic, but also you guys have to do something about the homelessness. If we took care of that, we wouldn't be standing here talking about all of this right now. Thank you. Enjoy your evening.
Thank you. Bill Tomachoff.
Am I supposed to turn these in?
Thank you, sir.
I wrote what I needed to speak down, so to keep it quick. Thank you for hearing me and my neighbors. My name is Bill Tomachoff. I live at 5726 North 75th Avenue. Me and my family own the farm to the south of the property that wants to be rezoned. I'm not in favor of the rezoning. It was always zoned office commercial, and nobody ever heard a word about it. I'm not against development. I'm just against bad development. And if any of you gentlemen know, a person in my family was one of the world's largest home developers. The traffic there is horrendous. You guys are doing traffic tests. The communities are not even built yet to add in the traffic to it. So you got 1,000 homes on 83rd that haven't even been filled in. You got 600 homes right on the corner of Bethany and 75th that haven't even came in. I still drive my equipment down the road, and each day that I do that, I take my own life in my own hands. The crime and panhandlers, as you see right there, them were pictures just taken just a few days ago, and that's a square mile radius of our neighborhoods. And we all know what that does. But you know, someone said homeless is not a crime, but we don't have to invite it into our neighborhoods. We have members here, and I love AJ. I had a talk with him. I don't have an issue with them. I have an issue with the development. My family's been here for over 100 years. We give back to the community. We try to make it a better place for our neighbors in our community. We're not trying to destroy it just for $1. The city of Glendale is not in the red. They don't need money. They don't need tax revenue. The folks here, they want something to hold on to. And you keep taking that away from them, who wants to live here? All you're gonna have is the slums. We try to keep things nice. We try to make an environment for people to come and enjoy themselves and make this a destination to say, hey, we came to Glendale. So as our elected officials, and I hope that they get the message, they're elected by us people to represent the people, not special interests. My family has donated money, donated property. You guys have the Glendale Airport because John F. Long donated that property to the city of Glendale. So my family has contributed a lot. I've spent over $2 million in just that 1 mile radius buying property to keep it open. I'm a farmer. How much money does a farmer make? And I'm spending every dime I have to keep that. I offered AJ to buy that property. I'll donate it back to the city for a park. That's how much we mean to this community, not development. I could go down a mile on Glendale Avenue where you're building apartments right now that aren't even filled in yet. They're building a Wendy's, another drive-through coffee shop, a Circle K, Burger King on the other. I could get coffee at 5 different places. What do I need coffee for? Make it at home. And the other issue is, once we get the rezoning, plans change. We want this. Oh, sorry, we're going to add this. So we want this. And when we get to the neighborhood meetings, I was only the one that got the letter. How many people got a notice in our neighborhood of a meeting? Look at them. Nobody. Who's in favor of this project? Nobody. Your whole neighborhood is here. So to carry this on would be a disgrace to the patrons of your town. That's awful. That's a shame.
Thank you, Mr. Palmatier.
And that should be a shame to our mayor and our council members to allow this. And I appreciate you listening to me.
Thank you, sir. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I think we talked about this applauding and interruption of the meeting. It's just going to slow everything down. I'd appreciate it if we would try to curtail that, if you could, please. Rebecca Anger. N-E-S? Arenas. There we go.
That's me.
I butchered it, I'm sorry.
That's okay. My name is Rebecca Navarro Arenas. My Navarro family owned a farm.
Address?
At 67th and Bethany. I live at 7765 West Missouri Avenue. I lived in Glendale in that area all my life. I won't tell you how old I am, but I've lived there all my life, and I am a proud citizen of Glendale, Arizona. I'm proud to be a family member of the agricultural community. My family members were farm workers, migrant workers, and to see the city of Glendale, the elementary school that my family worked at, Glendale Elementary, they taught the agriculture within our community that's now almost gone. And it's sad. Living on Missouri, Missouri is right smack in the center of Camelback and Bethany, and more and more and more, there are, my cameras, my security cameras go off constant because there's so many cars. I go out in the morning, my husband goes to work, and there's donuts just on Missouri. Now they're on the corner of Missouri, right on 75th Avenue. My nephew was hit by a car and lost his life on 75th Avenue in Bethany. So I am upset with all the traffic that will be coming in. What about all the businesses that are commercial that are sitting empty? Why don't they want to go buy those and make something? And instead of helping the Tomachoffs make a market to sell their goods, that would be a good idea. You know, You mentioned the stores down the street, the liquor stores, that pizza place on 67th and Bethany. All I used to go to that Fry's right there, and I go all the way to Peoria because I'm scared in my own neighborhood. I can't walk my dogs in the beautiful parks that were built because I'm scared because there's so many homeless going along that canal right there. I have 2 parks to choose from to walk, and I'm scared to walk the dogs out there. And that's my community that I pay taxes to have pride in my home. The CVS has signs, the kids after school, they're only 2 or 3 at a time because they have a problem with the kids stealing stuff. And what's to say that these new establishments coming in aren't going to be robbed all the time from these kids that are doing drugs with these homeless people that happen right outside. We're constantly calling the police at the cabana on the corner of my house because you smell weed constant. I want a safe environment for my kids. I want a safe environment as I get older to appreciate my home. My parents live down the street. They look like they live in a jail because they have to keep the gates in. Their property's been robbed numerous times, but my dad won't move. We want him to move for his safety, but he loves Glendale, he loves his home, and he should be able to live in his home safe. So establishments like this are going to bring in extra traffic, just like CVS has an issue. Just talk to them. They're sick of it. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, ma'am. Karen Aborn?
I have a handout here, and do you still have the camera available over here so I could put a copy of it
Yeah.
so that the audience can see the same handout I'm giving them?
Tawanda?
Oh. Say go. Okay, I'm not ready for it yet. Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the commission. My name is Karen Aborn. I live at 7318 West Griffin Lane, the first street north of this project on the east side of 75th Avenue. This is the street where Mr. Tomachev's ancestors came on August 30, 1911 to farm the 40-acre area and to grow sugar beets for the beet sugar factory in downtown Glendale. We have lived on a 2-acre parcel on this street for 43 years, and if there is a major accident, a traffic accident or incident at the intersection of 75th Avenue and Bethany Home Road, the police or news helicopters hover over our pasture. I received Mr. Hintz's, I'm not sure the pronunciation, gentleman, who was sending out the CP notification as an interested person, and I communicated to him that I was unable to attend the virtual meeting but had concerns about the proposed zoning change. I noted that this was the second attempt to change this parcel from commercial office to general commercial, but did not clarify that I was aware that the prior attempt was by a different applicant. That proposal was for an Eckerd's drugstore preceded the CVS on the southeast corner, which was already zoned commercial. In his CP attachment, Mr. Hintz said that my email did not apply to Diversified Partners, but it did, because the prior attempt to change that parcel's rezoning was not approved. This suggests that there has been longstanding community concern about development at that corner. On October 25th, 2021, I wrote to Mr. Hintz and I said that I was trying to access data and would provide it to him soon. The data relates to traffic accident and incident records, which I first requested from the traffic department and again from the police department, most recently 2 weeks ago on March 9th of this year. I still have had no report from the crime analyst for me to evaluate so I could give you some data. And I'm hearing an awful lot about the accidents that we've been observing. From other city sources, I have been advised that the current traffic volume, according to the number crunchers, is not sufficient to be of consequence for your consideration. Those number crunchers don't have to dodge red lights at this intersection or listen to sirens in our neighborhood. I was advised that it becomes important when you have the kind of volume that you have on Bell Road, rather than what's going on down here, even though we do have traffic from Westgate. After reviewing the packet submitted by the applicant for your consideration and wading through the details of the municipal code, I have compiled a comparative list of current and proposed uses regarding the zoning changes, and I'm providing you with a copy of the comparative permitted uses, which is what I've given to you, and which is illustrated here. Well, I'll note some of it. Commercial office permitted uses include professional businesses, business offices, provided that no goods or merchandise are sold, repaired, and exchanged. Financial institutions, real estate offices, insurance offices, these are the things that are permitted with the zoning that is there now. Medical offices, clinical laboratories, and then the proposed change offers retail stores, including food stores, apparel, accessory stores, personal services, barber shops, which has been referenced, or beauty salons, laundry, dry cleaning, medical dental offices, child care center, a lot of things that would be positive for our neighborhood, I would think. However,
Okay, can you wrap it up?
yes. Okay, the proposed zoning does include some tenants that could generate more active traffic issues, but of course, tenant choice is the option of the owner. As a stakeholder in this area, I can see positive and negative aspects of the permitted uses in both zoning categories, and there are several permitted uses in the proposed rezoning which would benefit us as well. According to the packet, the applicant agreed to remove the car wash from the proposal, which is a plus for all of us. Hopefully, this is an indication that positive consideration for the lifestyle of those of us who live nearby will be a consideration in selecting tenants for the project. Thank you for the opportunity to comment this evening.
Thank you, Ms. Arbarn. Catherine Carter. Ryan.
No thanks.
Ryan, I can't read the last name. MESS. Help me.
Messmer.
Messmer?
Yeah, I don't know it right. My name's Ryan Messmer. I live at 17939 West Carmen Drive in Surprise. I don't live in this neighborhood, but I've worked with them, the Tolmachoffs, for probably about 14 years and been there almost all year long, every year. I know everybody's talking about the traffic, it's getting bad, and that the school next door closed, but it's actually 300 kids plus a day come to that school probably about 4 or 5 months out of the year. So all that extra traffic that comes in will affect a whole bunch of little kids, even though the school is not there. That's still kind of like a school right here on the farm to teach all these new kids about how we get our food and how we do everything. So I just want to bring up that extra point that there is a lot of kids in that area that don't need all this extra traffic and extra stuff in the area. So that's about all I have to throw in that's extra that everybody else hasn't said already.
Thanks, Mr. Messmer. Cesar Rodriguez.
Hi, my name is Cesar Rodriguez. I live at 7317 West Maryland. I'm actually Karen's neighbor right behind her house. I live in the neighborhood right across from the parcel that's in question. And if you look at the aerial view of the neighborhood, you see the majority being just houses. I'm also a very small business owner here in Glendale. I have a small business on the corner of 83rd Avenue in Glendale, and I have seen that as far as the homeless concern is not necessarily just being business, but what type of business there is. The corner that I operate at, there's also a tire shop. Those businesses have been there for many years here in Glendale, and they operate mostly during the day. It is dark, but we do not have a homeless issue. Right across the street where there's a Circle K, McDonald's, Walgreens, all these large chains that are very well lit, that are open late at night, some 24 hours, there is a homeless issue. So it's not necessarily just because it's gonna be well lit or planned for homelessness that you're gonna be able to prevent it. Where we're at is very dark. We end by 10 p.m. The tire shop closes at 6. It's dark all night, and we've never had any issues. So it's not just that. You know, there's other things we have to consider. You know, what type of business is gonna come in, what hours they're gonna operate that are gonna attract the homelessness or not. If there were to be offices like insurance companies or any other offices, they close early in the day, we're not gonna have much traffic there. But if you have a Dutch Bros or coffee shop or anything that brings major traffic and queuing in drive-through lanes, that's gonna affect that all hours later into the night. So that is the main concern. So I understand, you know, the need for commercial. Again, I have a very small business and I'm a resident of that neighborhood, so I see both ends of it. But I think we have enough in the surrounding areas, some empty places that can be filled if that's what we need more business. And also to have some of these developers consider small businesses, because some of these developers that are coming into Glendale, as we've seen it grow since I've been living here, don't give small businesses a chance as well. Sometimes if we go and apply for a pad location or to put our businesses there, they only take into consideration national chains. If you're not a national chain, they don't even want to talk to you. Even if you have the sales records or if you have the ability to be there, pay the rent, if you're not a national chain, they don't want to talk to you because it doesn't look good in their portfolio when they present it to investors or when they sell the property of who's the tenant. So take that into consideration as well. I also have a small restaurant here in downtown Glendale that we were able to get into. So, you know, that is the opportunity that we were able to get, but in a lot of these large developments, we just can't. So just think of that as well. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez. Inez Belford? I heard a no. Gerald Belford? No. No, okay. Ramon Reisego? I'm sorry about the last name, I couldn't read it. I'm sorry?
Riesco.
Riesco?
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
I live at 18961 West Monroe, Buckeye, Arizona. But I lived on 71st and Ocotillo for 27 years before I moved. With everything that you talked about, you know, the crime with this building, let's just say a coffee shop, you're gonna see, you know, the crime, riffraff, and a lot of traffic. But the biggest concern is if you put that building there, to the south of it is where a lot of people bring their children for quality time. And that's very important. And that's what Mr. and Mrs. Tomashock provide. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Cecilia? Okay, Rebecca Arenas? Oh, okay, so you're a duplicate, all right. Okay, I also have some cards I'd like to read into the record that oppose. I have one more card here. Scott Hens.
That's me. AJ was going to handle it for us. I'm on the applicant side.
He's for the project.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right. All right, I'm going to read this into the record, and these, unless I say otherwise, are opposed. Erica Rodriguez, Brian Matthias, Gloria Dahl, Wayne Dahl, Joyce Wow. I'm not sure. B-O-U-L-W? Boulware? Got it. Gary Boulware? Wayne McCoglin? M-C-C-O-L-G-A-N. There you go. Brooke Tomachoff? Julie Denman? Hannah Belford? Trina Jaycock? Thank you, ma'am. Tricia Holmes? Karina Martinez? Sarah Copeland? Katrina Martinez? Mary Tomachoff?
I put in myself to speak. Do I have to speak?
Okay, and who are you?
Mary Tomachoff.
Okay, Mary, hang on just a second, please. Delaney, I can't read the last name. It's M.
And she's for it.
McCory? She is for it. Chris Potts? Shannon Bender? Gracie Tomachoff? Irvin Mesmer? I think we heard from Irvin. Raya Mesmer? Staya Mesmer? Stacy Mesmer. Now let me read it to the record for clarification. Delaney McCrory supports the application, and now Mary Tomachoff would like to speak.
My name is Mary. And if you can't hear me, that's how it is in my front yard. I'm Mary Tomachoff. I live at the farm on 57th Avenue and 5726 North 75th. And I just want to give you perspective of how I live every day there. I grew up in that home. I live in that home. I took care of my parents in that home. We can't hear each other talk in the front yard. The traffic is so loud. We see homeless people. People keep talking about homeless people. It's because it's real. And it matters to all of us with all these homeless people that just kind of do what they want to do. But we're supposed to conform to AJ, one strip mall there. So I see homeless people going down. There's an electric transformer across the street. Well, they dip it behind there either to relieve themselves or do their drugs. Then they pop up and then they're kind of like, this is what they do going down the street. You know, some of them come with their shopping carts. I work for the Glendale School District. Nobody in the school district that I've talked to at work want this. They're appalled. They can't believe it. I work at the System of Care, the care center next door, the Coyote Ridge. I work there. They still have people come in there with young children for resources. I still work there. They still have things going on, programs. So it's not really closed down. So what everybody said here, I'm kind of just piggybacking on, but I live there and it's awful. It's awful. And what they want to do and build all those stores, well, it's just going to be a disaster. Just because they build stores there doesn't mean they're going to prosper, because the owners aren't going to want to live in the ghetto. Just like they have ghetto fries, and that's what they call it, ghetto fries. They don't call it fries, it's ghetto fries. Uber doesn't go down there to pick up employees at night because they're afraid, because I have a friend's son that works there and they won't pick him up at night to go home. So they're going to call this Ghetto 75th and Bethany, whatever the strip mall is going to be called. Oh yeah, at the ghetto, next to the farm where kids come. So I could get lots of signatures to people who oppose it than just us right here. So it kind of contradicts what they're saying, that people want it. People really don't. So I asked Alex, if you want to come and sit in my front yard with me, we could talk, but we won't be near each other. And someone ran into my neighbor's wall, busted it down. Just down the street, there's another busted wall out. They drag race up and down all day, all night long, drag racing. They start at the Bethany, drag race to Missouri. Then they drag race, you could hear them going down to Camelback where the accident happens. So it's just bad, bad, bad news to have something like this being built there. So I'm envisioning you guys in Hawaiian shirts at a barbecue, so that way I can make it through this. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Tomachoff. Okay, that's all the speaker cards that I have.
Can I say something real quick?
Did you fill out a speaker card?
Yes, it's Karina Martinez.
Sure, come up.
I'm a little short here. My address is 1024 East Desert Lane in Phoenix, but I have family and friends that live right
And your
there.
name for the record?
Karina Martinez.
Thank you.
And my parents, we grew up in that area. We're in Glendale all the time. I do help the Tomachoffs, but that's not why I'm here today. I'm here today because I go to that farm. I love that farm. My kids love the farm, and we do, especially in the evenings around the pumpkin patch, the Halloween, we see all the transits and everybody walking along that canal area that they showed you pictures of. That blocks them. That stops them from going and interacting with the children and all the public that are parking there and enjoying all that. So like he says, he wants to cover that up. Well, there's going to be a lot more people and transients and homeless people and maybe drug addicts, whatever you want to call them. They're going to start mixing in with these people, and they're going to start breaking into cars, because we have a few of them breaking into the cars already. But it's going to get worse because they're going to have better access now. That's what you're going to do for them. You're going to give them better access to start breaking into the cars and stealing and mingling with some of these kids that they shouldn't be. And I know you saw the pictures, and you didn't get to see on those pictures the semi trucks that are parking there as well on the other side. If you see them, you would know, where are they going to start parking once they do all this? They're going to have to park somewhere else, and they're going to start parking closer to the farm. And they're going to have to try and park in other places. It's going to start blocking, and it's going to have more accidents because they're going to block the way for people to see. They already do. Sometimes when you're pulling out of there, you can't see which ways the cars and the vehicles are coming sometimes. It's going to get worse, and there's going to be more accidents. And like you said, you won't really notice it unless you live there. That's all I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, would the applicant or applicant's representative like to make any closing remarks?
Thank you, Chairman. Could we pull this back up? Am I doing that right? Just this far away. Everyone here, thank you for coming out, and thank you for speaking, and I would have very much appreciated this in the neighborhood meeting, but I understand that the process did not have your addresses for certain notices that needed to be provided. If I could boil down all of your concerns, I think I have them down to really 4. I'd like to reiterate, the farm is not going away. I didn't buy the farm. They didn't sell me the farm, nor did I try to buy the farm. Chalmers Farms can continue to operate for as long as they'd like, and I hope that they do. My twins love going there. I take my boys there. And so we're not buying the farm. This is the hard corner, the 3 acres on the hard corner that is being used as a commercial development. And I'd like to highlight that nobody brought up Mr. Brown's most recent development in Fuego, which doesn't have transients and looks great and has great tenants, and it does serve the community. The second issue that was raised was, why can't this be an office use? In 2000, this was rezoned as office use. It had stopped being farmed. It was only being used as a seasonal parking lot. And somebody came in and said, you know what, I think I'm gonna put an office use, and they rezoned it. And then it didn't pan out. Either the finances didn't make sense, or they had changed plans, and for 23 years, this remained vacant. For 23 years, this produced no income to the city. For 23 years, that was a safety issue that was never addressed. We're here to address it. We're here to fix it, and we're here to pay taxes to the city of Glendale so that we could hire more police staff and essential staff to address these transient issues and the other issues that folks are here about today. Finally, I respect the Tomilchoff family. I love Bill, I love Grace, I love their kids. I do think I need to mention that members of the Tomilchoff family sold this off to us. This was offered for sale in 2016, and for 5 years, people had the opportunity to purchase it, and nobody did. We did. We came in 5 years later, we made the investment, and we put our money where our mouth is, and we bought it. And for Mr. Caesar, I commend you. You're a business owner, and where did you put your business? On the hard corner of 83rd Avenue. These corners, the natural use for these corners are national tenants. They enjoy them. The highest and best use is not an office use. That would be for a secondary position and a little more land. That is the only way it could be feasible where you could provide an affordable rent. For these corners, they tend to attract tenants who have smaller businesses, and I haven't received an application from you, Caesar, but I'd love to look at one. We have space. I will rent to you. I'm happy to do so in the buildings that we are building. And with that, the last thing I'll say is developing this corner makes this corner safe. If parents park here, and I don't know if this has happened, but I imagine there's been some fall in that irrigation ditch. And what I will say is, by taking that underground, even if there wasn't one, eliminates that opportunity to do so. And with that, thank you, commissioners.
Commissioners, anything for AJ? Commissioner Crowe?
AJ, are you familiar with a company called United Blood Services?
I am not, no, Commissioner Crowe.
United Blood Services provides blood donation clinics around the valley. Tends to attract a lot of homeless people. They're zoned commercial office. Would that be an acceptable use if you stayed with the zoning that you currently have for a blood donation clinic?
Unlike, since you just commented that they attract homelessness.
Okay. That's it. No further questions.
Thank you. Commissioners, thank you again.
Thank you,
I very
AJ.
much appreciate all of your time and being here. Thank you.
Mr. Lerma, would you like to address anything? Closing?
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, no further comment.
Thank you, sir. The public hearing for case number GPA 22-06 and ZON 22-16 is now closed. We will vote on each application separately. Commissioners, do I hear a motion for case number GPA 22-06?
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Cole,
I move that the Planning Commission should recommend approval of GPA 22-06 as written.
Support.
okay, I have a motion and a second. Are there any comments or further discussions from the commissioners regarding GPA 22-06? Commissioner Nowakowski?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I've heard a lot of discussion tonight, and I just have to put this aside. The homeless issue is very complicated, heartbreaking, and upsetting, but I feel that good development is good development. And as one of the persons who spoke tonight said, there's benefits to both commercial office being permitted and neighborhood commercial being permitted. I know, like a laundry service, I live in the area, I don't have dry cleaning near me. A nice little, beauty salon that I'm hearing. Coffee shop, yeah. I think there's issues with traffic backing up. But I really believe, and I stated earlier, that the solution, I think, is a neighborhood solution. I think more discussion needs to take place between the neighborhood and the applicant to determine what those permitted uses should look like. And it sounds like you're on the same page, but there needs to be assurances. And tonight, I'm not there yet because that discussion hasn't happened. And I do have to comment that the applicant did have a neighborhood meeting once, and the city said have it twice, put out the notice. So I'm saying third time's a charm. So that's my comments, Mr. Chair.
Commissioners, anything further? Okay, we have a motion and a second to recommend approval for GPA 22-06 as written. I will conduct a roll call vote from my far right. Commissioner Crowe?
Aye.
Commissioner Cole?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to explain my answer,
Certainly.
my vote. I echo what Commissioner Nowakowski has said. I think that it's really hard to restrict someone's ability to develop land they own. That's why we have these rules. The fact that this has been for sale for so many years, the fact that it was never developed as a commercial office building or complex, those were opportunities that no one saw fit to take advantage of. So I also believe that there has to be some kind of way to come together and develop a project that the neighborhood can live with. With that, I vote aye.
Vice Chair Nyberg? Commissioner Nowakowski?
I think the most important part of the political process is three things. It's people, people, and people. And you all showed up late to the party, but you're here, and I really want the applicant and the neighborhood to get together. With that, I vote nay.
Commissioner Gears?
I vote aye.
Commissioner Hooper?
I have to echo Commissioner Nowakowski on this one. I think the community and the developer need to get together and have those assurances. Like we stated, homelessness is a complicated situation. There is no one-size-fits-all, and unfortunately, it is taking over the entire city with the cost of rent and everything else and all the factors involved with that. There's much more going on, so I vote nay.
I am concerned about the same things that the other commissioners have spoken about, but I also agree with Commissioner Cole. The people own the property, it's zoned properly, and I really don't, I personally don't feel that I have the grounds based on the rules that we have to play by to vote nay, so I vote aye. So that means GPA 22-06 has been recommended for approval. Mr. Gruber, what are the next steps in the process?
Chair, members of the commission, your recommendation of GPA 22-06 is not final. The recommendation will be forwarded to the City Council.
Okay, do I hear a motion for case number ZON 22-16 for the zoning?
Chair.
Commissioner Crowe?
Yeah, I recommend approval of ZON 22-16, condition to the stipulations of the staff report.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Are there any comments or further discussions regarding the zoning 22-16? Okay, we have a motion and a second to recommend approval of case number ZON 22-16, subject to the stipulations as outlined by staff. I will conduct a roll call vote from my right. Commissioner Crowe?
Aye.
Commissioner Cole?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to also explain my vote on
Shirley, go ahead.
case. This is where I have personally observed some things that I don't feel this process is complete. The stipulations that are in the staff report certainly make sense, but I think as far as permitted use, there is a lot more discussion that needs to be had here before I could vote for the zoning case. So I do understand the general plan amendment change, but at this point, general plan change, but at this point, I can't support this zoning change with this limited amount of stipulations as recorded in the staff report, so I vote no.
Ladies and gentlemen, please, again. Vice Chair Nyberg?
Aye.
Commissioner Nowakowski?
Explain my vote here. As a commissioner, one of the things we're required to do is look at the best long-term interests of the neighborhood and see if it's consistent with the general plan. I think what's best for the long-term interest is getting together and talk a little bit more. I think, quite honestly, this is going to happen, but we need the neighborhood's input in discussing, like, we don't want this, and be assured this type of business will not be operating there. With that, I vote nay.
Commissioner Gears?
I vote aye.
Commissioner Hooper?
I'm going to go nay on this one as well.
Okay, the chair echoes the sentiments of Commissioner Cole and Commissioner Nowakowski. I think that the changing the plan so that they can move forward with the project is I think it's a good idea. But I would like to see some more dialogue and some more, hopefully, negotiation between the residents and AJ, your group. I think there's some room there for both sides to come together. I'd like to see that. But I agree with Commissioner Nowakowski. I mean, this is going to happen. And I'd like to try to make it happen as amicably as possible, but it is going to happen. But on this particular time for the zoning, I'm going to vote nay. So the case ZON 22-16 has been recommended for denial. Mr. Gruber, what are the next steps in the process?
Chair, members of the commission, like the companion general plan amendment, ZON 22-16 is a recommendation and is not final, but will be forwarded to the City Council for further consideration.
Thank you, sir. Okay, our next agenda item is case number ZON 22-24. Mr. Vigil. Mr. Vigil, hang on just a second. I think we're going to take just a short break here.
Okay, thank you.
We'll take about 10 minutes.
You know, the discussions on the voting
Okay, welcome back. We'll reconvene from our short break, the Glendale Planning Commission. We are now going to move on to our next agenda item, ZON 22-24. Mr. Vigil?
Hey, Tawanda, how do I just make the screen? See how it's showing that up there?
Thank you, Chairman Crow, Commissioners. So tonight I'm introducing to you the Desert River 2 PAD amendment. So the applicant is requesting to amend the original Desert River 2 PAD. The original Desert River 2 PAD included 6 platted lots, and this amendment would only apply to the lots 1 through 4. The applicant is proposing to add additional land uses such as senior living, active adult, age-restricted memory care treatment facilities, assisted living, indoor auto dealership, and indoor auto service center. Also to amend the parking requirements for the self-storage land use only to be 1 per 100 units. So before you is a vicinity map showing the proposed site in relation to City Hall. The Desert River location is located north of Desert River Boulevard and west of 99th Avenue. And before you is a general plan designation showing the Desert River property as a regional mixed use. This is a zoning map showing the existing planned area development zoning and the existing surrounding zoning for the property. You can see there's business park to the north, agricultural to the west, and PAD to the south. This is an existing aerial map depicting the existing development surrounding the Desert River site. So the applicant is proposing changes to the Desert River 2 PAD to amend Section 2 for the permitted uses subject to conditions. And the first item that they are amending is item H for self-storage facilities. What they're requiring is that the self-storage facility be indoor, internal to the site, and not on the frontage road, and must be a minimum of 250 feet away from 99th Avenue and Desert River Boulevard. Also, it must be indoor, air-conditioned, and with a minimum of 3 stories. The next item is to add item K, which would allow the land uses of senior living, active adult, age-restricted memory care, treatment facilities, and assisted living to be located internal to the site and not on the frontage road. Also, a minimum of 250 feet away from Desert River Boulevard and 99th Avenue. The third item is to add the land use of an indoor enclosed auto service center to be a minimum also of 250 feet away from 99th Avenue and Desert River Boulevard. And then the fourth is to add item M, which would add the land use of an indoor new and used auto sales dealership that also would have to be a minimum of 250 feet away from 99th Avenue and Desert River Boulevard. The last request is to modify the parking requirements for indoor self-storage. The applicant is proposing that the parking requirements be 1 space per every 100 self-storage units, and the applicant is proposing approximately 900 storage units. So before you is a conceptual site plan. So you can see to the southeast, to the southwest of the Desert River site, there are 2 multifamily projects that are currently being developed. These are within lots 5 and 6. This is why the amendment would only apply to lots 1 through 4. So entitlements for the multifamily are already in place. Before you, again, the existing picture of the conceptual site plan could potentially show the self-storage facility adjacent to the north of that multifamily site. Also, just below that, across that private drive, potentially could be proposed as the assisted living land use, which would, if moving forward, would be a 3-story facility. And so I believe the indoor new and used auto dealership would be located just east of the proposed location for the self-storage site, to the north of the conceptual site plan. So both staff and the applicants have met all of the public notice requirements. We have not received any comments, emails, or concerns regarding the amendment. And so the next step is to go over the findings and staff's analysis for amending the PAD. So for item A, staff finds that the addition of these land uses would attract new tenants and provide a creative mix of projects that fit within the expectations of the original PAD and this new proposed amended PAD. For item B, the applicant is not proposing any residential changes, any residential uses for lots 1 through 4, so this really doesn't apply to the PAD amendment. Item C, the Desert River 2 site is being developed with multifamily projects on lots 5 and 6, and this amendment has the opportunity to attract additional projects, mixed-use projects, commercial, hotel, retail, assisted living, and so we think that this meets the expectations of this finding because it creates a greater variety and intensity of land uses. And so for item D, staff's analysis is that as each site progresses with the development, the applicant would be required to submit a design review application as the next steps. And so we would review that application by all the required departments such as transportation, land development, engineering, fire, sanitation, planning, to ensure that the project is meeting the expectations of the cities as far as the highest quality type of development. And then for E, staff's analysis is that the amendment would not reduce or disrupt utilities, transportation, drainage, or any other common open spaces. In addition, each parcel is going to be required to develop the site with a minimum of 25% open space. And then for item F, staff's analysis is that this amendment does support the general plan by enhancing existing mixed-use developments. It's going to provide additional services to the community, and it supports the general plan by ensuring that sufficient infrastructure will be in place for the desired land uses proposed, and that it would create a better balance of jobs to housing in the community by increasing local employment and thereby reducing travel demand and improving the quality of life. So should the planning commission motion to recommend approval of zoning 22-24, it should be subject to the following 3 stipulations. The first is that compliance with the original conditions adopted by the City Council as ordinance number 20-74 in case ZON 20-12 Desert River 2 PAD, except as modified by conditions herein. Number 2, lots 1 through 4 shall comply with the amended Desert River 2 planned area development dated December 8th, 2022. And number 3, the indoor auto service center must be west of the indoor auto dealership. And with that, that concludes my presentation. I can take any questions if you have any.
Commissioners, Commissioner Nowakowski?
Mr. Vigil, proposed changes to PAD page 1, amendment to item H. I'm a little confused. It says self-storage facilities but it says must be indoor air conditioned with the minimum of 3 stories. I'm used to like maximum of, 4 or 5 stories, but this is a minimum of 3 stories. What's the max it can go up?
So the max would be based on the height of the Desert River 2 original PAD.
Okay. So I just wanted to make sure it's not going to have a 20-story storage facility. Thank you.
No, it will not. Thank you.
Commissioners, anything else? Mr. Vigil, thank you.
Thank you.
Would the applicant or applicant's representative please come forward, state your name for the record, and make your presentation? Hello.
Good evening, sorry. Good evening, Chair and Commission members. My name is Shelby Duplessis. I'm the President of Land Development at Empire Group of Companies. My office address is 6617 North Scottsdale Road. Thank you for having me in tonight. We've been here for a long time, so I'm going to keep it very brief. We are the owner of the entire Desert River PAD, the original PAD. We've sold lots 5 and 6. They are under construction for multifamily. That was the only multifamily allowed on site. That left us with the 4 lots that we now are coming back to, I would call refine the PAD because of the end users. Each one of them wanted to come back and do their own PAD or variance, and it just seemed easier for us to take care of all of it at once. We are in escrow on lot 4 for the mini storage. To answer your question, Commissioner, I believe the max was 64 feet. The 3-foot or the 3-story minimum was because of the proximity to Westgate and this core was really to increase the intensity and the uses. And so that was to create that energy. And so we are committing to the 3 stories and building that ourselves actually. The parking will match another facility that we did up at 51 Campana at 51st and Bell Road. So that's the same parking, and it is likely going to be a new proposed city requirement on future developments that's in the works. Instead of waiting for that, we initiated that through the PAD. Lot 3 is also in escrow with the auto user, and we agreed to put the service center on the west side to keep it away from that frontage and to not clutter 99th Avenue visibility. And then also a hotel is in escrow for lot 1, and then the active adult for lot 2. So that leaves us the last 2 parcels, 7 and 8, and likely will be a high-intense hotel or entertainment use because of the proximity and Super Bowl and things like that. I think that answered some of the questions that came up. We've already put in all the infrastructure, the loop road, the lift station, and everything to serve all of these parcels. So we literally are selling off finished lots. If I can answer any questions, if not, that's all I had to add.
Commissioners?
You talk
Commissioner
about
Gears?
Indoor auto center? Is
Yes.
that for all the cars parking overnight, or they're all going to be all out along the street, or and contain all the cars that need to be worked on?
It really isn't an auto center, it's a auto sales shop, and so it's an auto house. They do a lot of the car sales online, and then people come in to get the car. They need to service or get the car prepped before delivery.
Oh, okay, it's not like a repair shop. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioners, anything else? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay, I do not have any speaker cards. Are there any members of the audience that would like to speak to this issue? Thank you. Mr. Vigil, do you have any final questions or procedural guidance or rebuttals?
No further comments.
We're good. Thank you, sir. The public hearing for case number ZON 22-24 is now closed. Do I hear a motion?
Chair.
Commissioner Nowakowski.
I move to recommend approval of ZON 22-24, subject to the stipulations contained in the staff report.
Do I hear a second? Are there any further comments or discussions regarding case number ZON 22-24? Okay, we have a motion and a second to recommend approval for case number ZON 22-24, subject to the stipulations as outlined in the staff report. Commissioner Crow,
Aye.
Commissioner Cole,
Aye.
Vice Chair Nyberg,
Aye.
Commissioner Nowakowski,
Aye.
Commissioner Gears,
Aye.
Commissioner Hooper,
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Case number ZON 22-24 has been recommended for approval and subject to the stipulations as outlined in the staff report. Mr. Gruber, what are the next steps in the process?
Chair, members of the commission, your action with respect to ZON 22-24 is not final. Your recommendation will be forwarded to the City Council.
Thank you, Mr. Gruber. Our next agenda item is case number ZON 22-25. Mr. Vigil.
Thank you, Commissioner Crow and Commissioners. Oh, that's weird. I'll use this screen. Oh, there it goes. Okay. Tonight, I'm introducing you the LP Bethany Planned Area Development zoning case 22-25. Originally, this was titled the Lepore Planned Area Development. Also, just a little bit of the background, this application is running concurrently with the annexation application for the same site. So the applicant is requesting to rezone approximately 9 acres to planned area development with amended M1 development standards to develop the site with a heavy industrial equipment rental facility. The PAD is proposing commercial land uses and light industrial land uses. So this is a vicinity map showing the site in relation to City Hall. It's approximately 15 miles west of City Hall, located north of the northwest corner of Bethany Home Road and Loop 303. Before you is a general plan designation. The site and including additional surrounding properties are designated as Luke compatible land uses. The zoning map before you is showing the existing site. The applicant is proposing a PAD, and you can see adjacent sites are already zoned PAD. Most of these sites are developing as industrial projects. This is a map showing the location of the site in relation to the Luke Air Force Base noise contours. The site sits within the 70 LDN. And before you is an aerial map showing existing development around the property. So the applicant is proposing the site to develop under the amended M1 development standards. Some of the, I guess the most important amendment to these development standards would be the height. The applicant is requesting the height be changed from a maximum of 30 feet tall to 70 feet tall with the FAA Form 7460 to be reviewed and approved by Luke Air Force Base. Before you is a conceptual site plan of the proposed heavy equipment rental facility. Again, this is conceptual. If things should change in the future, there are various commercial and other light industrial projects that could take its place. Before you is a conceptual landscaping showing how the site, if it does move forward with the heavy equipment rental facility, where that landscaping would be located. So this map before you shows the site, and the importance of this slide is showing how the circulation to the site for ingress and egress. So it's a little bit difficult to see, but if you can see the little red arrows, there's a private drive going from the west side of the site up north and to the west to connect with Cotton. And then also there's a private drive from the southwest location of the site to connect down to Bethany Home Road. These drives are private drives. So the applicant and city staff have met all the public notice requirements. As of today, we have not received any comments or emails or concerns regarding the application. And so staff's analysis to the required findings for A is that the proposed commercial and light industrial land uses will encourage a variety of commercial and industrial uses and fit within the developing areas along both sides of the Loop 303. For item B, the PA is not proposing any residential land uses. The general plan designation of loop-compatible land uses doesn't really allow residential to be developed within the 70 LDN flight path. And for C, staff's analysis that the proposed land uses are diverse and could attract a variety of end users for both commercial and industrial developments. For item D, so again, the next steps after the zoning is approved, the applicant would be required to submit a design review application in which staff and other departments would review the application to ensure that the site is developed with unique characteristics suitable to the surrounding properties and area. And then item E, staff's analysis is that, again, the site's going to require a design review application, and that will be reviewed by transportation, land development, engineering, the fire department, sanitation, planning, building safety, so that the site is, so to ensure that the site is developed with adequate utilities, transportation, drainage, and common open spaces. And the last finding, the staff's analysis is that the proposed land uses, the landscaping, the design criteria, the development standards being proposed, they are all consistent with the loop-compatible land uses and those requirements. They're also consistent with policies and guidelines of our zoning ordinance and the general plan. A couple of items that support the general plan is that this application meets the requirement that it will ensure that sufficient infrastructure is in place for desired land uses, and that it will encourage economic diversity in each growth area. So should the Planning Commission recommend approval of zoning case 22-25, it should be subject to the following stipulation: that the development shall be in conformance with the LP Bethany PAD narrative dated February 17th, 2023. And with that, I can answer any questions. That concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Commissioners? Mr. Vigil, nice job, you're done.
Thank you very much.
Would the applicant or applicant's representative please come forward, state your name for the record, and make any presentation that you would like in addition to what's been said?
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, Wendy Riddell with the law firm Barry Riddell, 6750 East Camelback. My pleasure to be here this evening on behalf of Lepore. It's late. You guys have been doing your job very patiently. Like any good lawyer, I have a full presentation I'm happy to give, but I'm equally happy just to answer any questions and rest on Edward's good presentation.
Gentlemen.
It's your pleasure.
Mr. Gears.
On the site, you have a private drive heading south to Bethany.
Yeah.
Do you own that property south of this?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner, we do not, but we do have easement rights over it, so that has already been negotiated.
So anybody comes in future, they're not going to block you off?
That's correct.
Alrighty, thank you.
Good question.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I haven't received any speaker cards. Is there anybody in the audience who would like to speak on this particular case? Mr. Vigil, anything final?
No additional comments, Chairman Crow.
Thank you. The public hearing for case number ZON 22-25 is now closed. Do I hear a motion?
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Nowakowski.
move to recommend approval of ZON 22-25, subject to the following stipulation. Number 1, development shall be in substantial conformance with the LP Bethany Pad narrative dated February 17th, 2003. No, I'm sorry, 2023. Thank you.
Second.
Are there any further comments or discussions from the commission regarding case number ZN 22-25? Okay, we have a motion and a second to recommend approval for a case number ZON 22-25, subject to the stipulation outlined by staff. I will conduct a roll call vote starting from the right. Commissioner Crowe.
Aye.
Commissioner Cole.
Aye.
Vice Chair Nyberg.
Aye.
Commissioner Nowakowski.
Aye.
Commissioner Gears.
Aye.
Commissioner Hooper.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Case number ZON 22-25 has been recommended for approval, subject to the stipulation as outlined by staff. Mr. Gruber, what are the next steps in the process?
Chair, members of the commission, your recommendation with respect to ZON 22-25 is not final. It will be forwarded to the City Council for further consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Gruber. Ms. Perry, is there any other business this evening?
Chairperson Crowe, Commissioners, there are none.
Are there any planning staff reports?
Chairperson Crowe and Commissioners, I just want to give a reminder that, as you are aware, we are in the process of rewriting the zoning ordinance from the 1993 to the proposed UDC document. It's scheduled to go back before City Council on this forthcoming Tuesday in a workshop. So that will be City Council workshop on March the 28th at 12:30. So if the commissioners have time, please watch the City Council workshop on the proposed UDC. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Perry. Okay, let me just take a second here to welcome our new commissioner, Commissioner Hooper, Brian Hooper. Welcome, sir.
Welcome.
The next regular meeting of the Planning Commission will be held on April 27th at 6 p.m. If there's no further business, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.